Joining us today is Carlos Cabo, a board member of Concord, the European Confederation of NGOs for Relief and Development. Carlos is preparing for the EU-CELAC summit in June. Thank you for joining us today, Carlos.
Thanks to you.
This summit, what's the objective?
This summit is going to review and follow up the bi-regional relations between the European Union and Latin American Caribbean region in different aspects: development, trade, environment, civil society, governance.
What's changed since the last summit?
Since the last summit, we have witnessed growth in Latin America, but we are also still experiencing the problems of inequality. Some other things have changed, as for example, Latin America is now a region that has most of it graduated from ODA, that is development. So new ways of organizing the relation are appearing. Those are also trends to follow up.
Are these trends emerging because of prospering economies or because of pressure from Europe?
Definitely, Latin America has prospered. Growth has been high. However, inequalities remain. However, the access to natural resources of population, human rights are still important in the region.
Which countries are doing well?
Colombia is doing well, Chile is doing well, Peru is also doing well, and Mexico, Brazil are also doing well. However, they are also experiencing problems because of raw materials prices that are decreasing.
So why are the raw materials so important? Is it because as the raw material prices drop, then public policy can't be implemented and human rights go out the window?
Yeah, raw materials are important because you produce a direct and immediate income to the country budget. You can finance equality policies, social policies, as for example Brazil did. However, you are very dependent, and you are also depending on the prices, depending also from other countries. The main elements for a sustainable development remain, which is internal market, consumption, middle classes, the access to rights, and finally governance, which is important for a sustainable development.
So why haven't these countries like Brazil made these changes during the more prosperous times when the money was there, the money was easier?
They were financing and implementing very, very interesting equality policies, social policies, but still when you enter into a transformative path, you also face resistance and groups that are reluctant to continue in the transformation
Is this where you
path.
want the European Union to apply more pressure to help maintain a better structure?
Actually, the European Union is, I would say, would need to be more coherent. On the one hand, we are, as European Union, supporting trade agreements, and on the other, and investments, and on the other hand, we are supporting development policies towards the region. We are supporting the capacity of the people to engage in policy dialogue and to be included in the decision making, but not always these two policies are coherent.
What needs to change? What needs to be joined up?
The European Union is organizing the relation with Latin America and Caribbean by giving high importance to investment, private investment, so to produce economic growth, so to guarantee the production of commodities. But we need to take into account that there are population, there are vulnerable people, and there are communities that do have rights, rights to access the land, rights
But
to
are
access the human.
these people exploited by the Brazilian companies, for example, or are they exploited by European companies working in Brazil?
Yeah, we have some examples. For example, in Salvador, we have monitored and researched, and we made some research as civil society on an investment by Coca-Cola. The investment is producing jobs, but at the same time, the investment is hampering the access of people to water resources that they need to drink, but also that they need to produce food for themselves through agriculture. There is a huge mobilization of civil society of about 30,000 people opposing and also showing the consequences of an investment in principle is positive, but is not respecting the access of the population to water resources and is at the end of the day producing poverty.
Okay, is this a consequence of European policies, or is there an extension of European trade policy that needs to occur to help solve this problem?
In this case, is an example on the inconsistencies of investments with regards development. So-called development is not 100% development. So in that case,
This is European money.
yeah, in that case, it's not European money, but there are policies that are supporting this investment in order to create an enabling environment for investment. When we create this, and there are policies of the European Union that create this, we would also need to guarantee that prior assessments are done in order to see the impacts on access to natural resources or the consequences of land tenure, for example. So prior assessments would
Impact studies.
yeah, impact assessment would be needed, and also the consequences on human rights. But there are other examples where there is a direct link with European policies in terms of money, flows of money. As for example, the LIFE program that the European Union is supporting is a mechanism that blends loans with, in some cases, with ODA.
Do you think it's correct that European companies should make money by the exploitation of Latin American people's rights?
I would say that the European Union is supporting human rights defenders through some programs, but I would say that the investments and the trade policies need to be more coherent with
Need to be
the
tougher?
work. Yeah, more coherent with the other goals on in terms of human rights. More coherent means also some conditionalities. Or impact assessment is a way of also taking into account factor this investment. So I would say more coherence.
Okay, what's your message to Commissioner Malmström as this summit approaches? What needs to be done?
Okay, I mentioned impact assessments on terms of rights for investments, especially if they are supported with European money, public money. More transparency on the plans and the dialogue that is done between governments and European Union. Transparency and access to data. More consultations with civil society and the communities, vulnerable communities, that would be necessary, and a clear policy to support human rights defenders and the rights of the communities, and also to make this more coherent with trade and investment policies.
Finally, what does Latin America have to teach Europe?
They have to teach diversity, and that this diversity is richness. They have also to teach us a historical, an historical background on civil society and civil society movements to claim for the rights. I think from this perspective, we can also see some examples that we can also apply to ourselves when we are in austerity policies, we can also see that civil society and the people can also organize to claim for their rights. We are in that way. We can we can learn from them, and we can also bridge between the two regions in order to see that we have things in common. That was one of the aims of the civil society dialogue we organized, to produce recommendations towards the summit that is going to take place in June, the 10th and 11th.
Carlos Cabo, thank you very much.
Thanks to you.